The IRS emails cannot legally be missing. That's the argument of one group that says it was targeted by the agency back in 2009. Lori Lowenthal Marcus is the president of that group, Z Street, and joins us live. Lori, good to see you today.
Thanks so much, Shannon.
Okay, so you all knew years ago, or you made claims years ago that you were being targeted based on the viewpoint of your group. And so at that time, years ago, you filed a lawsuit, and it would have involved these emails about targeting what was going on. And under the federal rules of procedure, civil procedure, I mean the court rules, as lawyers, we know this, they were supposed to preserve any evidence that dealt with this. So what do you know about what did or didn't happen?
Well, let me just tell you, it's not just evidence that relates specifically to our case. It's any potentially relevant evidence that they were under a legal obligation, as you say, Shannon, to retain. So we're about to find out. We've already sent our first salvo. We're in the discovery phase, as you know, of our lawsuit, which was filed back in August 25th of 2010. That's an important date because from that date, the date that our case, Z Street versus Schulman, who was the commissioner then of the IRS, all potentially relevant evidence pointing to some policy created or actions followed by IRS agents to treat differently those who were seeking tax-exempt status, treat them differently because of their political viewpoints. Anything like that is relevant and should have been retained. So it is not an argument. Go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you said, that's not an argument. I mean, those are the rules. So at what point, if the IRS knew that something that was potential evidence, in your case, the lawsuit already filed back in 2010, what obligation did they have to notify you, to notify the court, if any of that evidence potentially went missing?
Well, it's hard to say. When was it? When did they have to tell us if they already broke the law? You know, that's a hard one to answer. But they've given us now at least two different steps, both the computer crash, maybe it was someone's fault, maybe it wasn't, but then to physically, manually, intentionally destroy the tapes where it had to have been stored and should have been stored. That's something that they did affirmatively. The legal department at the IRS had to know this. The Justice Department's lawyers who are assigned to this case had to know that they were under this obligation. It's a really big deal.
It is. And as you were one of the first to go after the IRS and push back against this, your case has been on the leading edge of this entire thing. And now how would this, if it turns out that evidence relevant to your case is gone for good, how does that impact your lawsuit?
Well, two things. One, I don't think it can be gone for good. We just have to look a lot harder, and the government is going to have to work a lot harder to help us find that material because, of course, every email has both a sender and a recipient. So unless, you know, computers crashed all over the country and nobody knew about it, that's troublesome. But, you know, there is something in the law, Shannon, as you know as a lawyer. If evidence that should have been retained was destroyed, it's called spoliation. We may have a separate claim against the government for that. And also relevant, the court may have to draw, or may be able to draw, and probably would draw, an adverse inference from this destruction of evidence.
Lori, I'm sorry we're out of time. We've got to leave it there, but please keep us updated on your case. Very, very interesting. Great to see you today.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks a lot.